Hey, welcome back. My name is Aretha Simons. Welcome to the channel. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, give it a thumbs up. But today, before we get into this, I want to just kind of prep you on what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about faith-based initiatives, churches, separate churches, religious org. If you have a CDC or something separate from your church, which I hope you do, you need to know about the new faith-based initiative from President Trump, where he appointed Pastor Paula White. We're going to go over the whole executive order. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Let's dig in. So this is an executive order that Trump signed February the 7th. Can you see my screen? Do I need to make it bigger? That
No,
writing is
I can
bigger?
see it just fine. No, it's fine.
Okay. So what he did was it says, by the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, for those of you who've never read executive order, to assist faith-based entities, community organization. And that's what we want to focus on, community organization, because I really want to get into churches, religious org having a separate 501c3, some call it CDC, EDC, so that they can get these grants. Some of you are already doing it, and you may have been affected by that. But let's talk more about how this executive order for House Faith Office get back into this. So it says faith-based entities, community organizations, and houses of worship in the effort to strengthen American families, promote work and self-sufficiency, and protect religious liberties, hereby ordered. We're not going to talk about religious liberties. You already know that. You know all about that. So section
Right.
1, the policy, faith-based entities. I really want you guys to hear this. Community organizations and houses of worship have tremendous ability to serve individuals, right? Families and communities through means that are different from those of the government and with the capacity and effectiveness to often exceed that of the government. Let's pause right there, Claudia, because this is why we need nonprofits. This is why,
exactly.
Yeah, nonprofits. The government can't do without this. I mean, they just said right here they don't have the capacity, they don't have the ability,
Correct.
they can't be effective. So we are, when I say we collectively, the community, the faith-based community, all nonprofits have the ability to do what the government can't do. And so I'm going to continue. The organizations lift people up, keep families strong, and solve problems at a local level. I'm going to pause. You can stop me anytime. The executive branch wants faith-based entities, community organizations, and houses of worship to the fullest extent permitted by law to compete on a level playing field for grants,
Yes.
contracts,
Yes.
programs, and other federal funding opportunities.
And that's a good place, I think, Aretha, to add some commentary, because the federal government has made it clear that faith-based entities, community organizations, et cetera, can apply for federal grants, federal contracts, and different sources of funding. Because again, as Aretha just mentioned, they need these particular entities in place to be able to serve families and communities. And the thing that we would like to encourage those of you who are listening is, if you don't have a nonprofit set up, this is a great opportunity for you to consider it, because funding is going to be available, and funding has been available for communities, faith communities, et cetera, to be able to compete. And the question that I have, and one of the biggest concerns, is that making sure that you're set up properly, that you have your 501c3 structure in place. And it's great to have your 501c3 structure in place in addition to all of the other things that need to be put in place so that you can compete with other entities on a level playing field. That is so important to be able to do. And I know, Aretha, that's something you specialize in, is helping entities to set up 501c3s. And we both are experts in helping nonprofits. Once you get that 501c3, is what are the steps to take next? And I'm so invested and committed to helping nonprofits at this juncture and at this part that I set up on my website, claudiahumphrey.com, burnout sessions, so that we can take time to actually work on your paperwork so that you can be positioned to be able to get the funds that are going to be made available through grants and contracts.
Excellent. And let's talk about that paperwork. And when you mentioned them having a 501c3, we're talking about a separate one from the church. Like they're two
Correct.
different entities. Like you might have, your organization might be Orlando Community Development Center. So I want to right here, if you could see where my mouse is moving,
Mm-hmm.
continue reading this for the sake of everybody understanding this. The efforts of the faith-based entities, community organizations, remember they're separate, and
Mm-hmm.
houses of worship are essential to strengthening families and revitalizing communities. Revitalizing, we're talking about housing and all those things. And the federal government welcome opportunities to partner with such organizations through innovative,
Mm-hmm.
measurable, here's a key
Mm-hmm.
word, measurable and outcome driven initiatives. So when you're setting up these 501c3s, you're not doing it just saying, oh, I got it, here it is. Are you writing down what the goals are? Are they measurable? Did you write down the outcome of what you're expecting? For example, if you're saying you're helping people who are in housing crisis and you're helping people with low income housing, how many people? How many of them would
Correct.
be
Correct.
veterans? What are the outcomes that you expect from this project that you're going to do? And that's what you were mentioning, how you sit down with them and help them with those type of things.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Because the words here are key: innovative, measurable, and outcome driven initiatives. And each one of those three words or phrases comes with its own set of guidelines and rules and just different things that you need to do to show that you're innovative, to show that your work is measurable. How many, as Aretha said, how many individuals are you planning on serving and by when? That's considered measurable. And then outcome driven. So that now you have the money, you set up a program. How has your program or services made a difference in someone's life? What's the outcome of the initiatives of what you developed?
Correct. Let's continue right here. The executive branch is committed to ensuring that all executive departments and agencies honor and enforce, the Constitution's guarantee of religious liberty and to ending any form of religious discrimination by the federal government. I want to go to this next session because people think this is new. This is not new. There's always been a faith-based initiative. I mean, I was a
Mm-hmm.
part of this in 2004. I have written federal grants, reviewed federal grants on the state, local, and federal level. So this is not new. They just kind of changed some things. So we're going to go to this part and feel free to just jump in anytime. So here's a section they amended, section 2, amendments to the executive order. So they
Mm-hmm.
amended the previous executive order. Executive order, there's a number 13198 of January 29, 2001.
Mm-hmm.
The agency responsibility with respect to faith-based and community initiative. They amended the executive order from 2002. That's equal protection under the laws for faith-based and community organizations. And they amended an executive order from 2010, November 2010. That's fundamental principles and policy making criteria for partnerships with faith-based and other neighborhood organizations. So you can see where they just amended a whole bunch of executive orders. They just changed
Correct.
the language. It's just like when you all have your bylaws, when you get your initial bylaws and you want to make amendments, what you do is you have a separate document where you amending this section of the bylaws that was written in November 2022. So same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So here in section 1, they substituted the White House Faith Office for White House Office of Faith-Based and Community Initiatives. So they just changed that name from White House Faith Office for White House Office of Faith-Based and Community Initiative, or they abbreviated White House OFBCI each time it appears in these orders. So now when you see that word, they've shortened it. Just like when you write your grant proposals, you write the long name first and then you'll write the abbreviated.
The abbreviated one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody understands. Go ahead.
and I wanted to just say something here too. Also, when you are contemplating setting up a separate 501c3, as Aretha just mentioned a moment ago, from your faith base or your church or your place of worship, once you decide that you're going to set up a separate 501c3, think about the naming of it. A lot of faith institutions will try to, or they not try to, but will put in a faith-based name into their nonprofit, and that's not necessary. That's not necessary. You don't have to do that. In fact, we strongly suggest that when you are setting up your separate nonprofit, that you do not include a faith-based name.
Right.
But that you just use a name that is going to describe the services that you are going to provide. So just because the opportunity is available for faith-based entities to apply for grants and contracts, that does not mean that you can use those grants and contracts to proselytize. Those grants and contracts, you have to be careful. That's why it's good to have a separate entity, separate from your faith-based entity, so that you won't blur the lines, that you're not using federal funds to proselytize and share the good news or whatever your faith is. You're not going to be using those grant funds for that purpose. So just thinking of that and being very careful as you contemplate setting up a separate 501c3.
Excellent, excellent. And I want to add on to that about the name. Another reason why you don't want to have the word faith-based or religious or the word ministry in your name is because you're not just trying to apply for grants from the federal government. You're trying to apply for grants from corporations, individuals. And what if they're like, no, we're not Christian, we're Muslim, but we believe in your cause. And so you don't want to eliminate yourself from getting those other funds. So that's just something to keep in mind. I want to skip down to this section, section 4, the White House Faith Office functions. So, to the extent permitted by the law, the office shall, from time to time, consult with and seek information from expert and various faith community leaders identified by the White House Faith Office or other EOP components, including those from outside the federal government and those from state, local, and tribal governments. I want to pause right here because I don't know if you know that Pastor Paula White has been designated to hold this office. She is running this office. So if you don't know how to reach her, you don't know how to contact, this is the person you need to contact so that you can be included in these conversations. So when she is seeking advice, what you want to do in your communities and things like that. I want us to do on another webinar, show how the funding is trickled down from the website USA Spending. Your mind is going to be blown away. So I want to continue here. These experts are leaders, excuse me, these experts and leaders shall be identified based on their expertise in a broad range of areas in which faith-based entities, not just faith-based, but community organization and houses of worship operate, including protecting women and children, strengthening marriage and family, lifting up individuals through work and self-sufficiency, defending religious liberty, combating anti-Semitic, anti-Christian, and additional forms of anti-religious bias, promoting foster care and adoption programs in partnership with faith-based entities, providing wholesome and effective education, preventing and reducing crime and facilitating prison reentry, big one, promoting recovery and substance use disorder and fostering flourishing mind. The reason I wanted to mention them because this is their focus. So if you see those words and they jump out at you, they're telling you, hey, this is what we're interested in right now. We're open to other ideas, but these are the things that we're interested in now. Claudia, did you want to jump in there?
Yeah, because I'm so glad that you went over that because a lot of times people say, okay, we want to do something in our community, but we're not quite sure what it is we need to do. First of all, look around in your community. Where are the needs? And second thing to do is to look at the information that Aretha just reviewed. Is there a need in your community to protect women and children? Is there a need in your community to strengthen marriages and family? And using what is shared on the White House website to be able to craft and develop your nonprofit organization and what services you want to provide, who's your target audience or your target population. These are just strong suggestions that throughout your thinking process, you want to take these things under consideration.
Exactly. I don't want to read all this because I know you all can read. I'm just highlighting certain things. Here in section 3, it says convene meetings with representatives from Centers for Faith and other representatives from across agencies as appropriate. So you should definitely be in contact with your representative. I'm fortunate enough to live here in the Central Florida region where Pastor Paula White lives and has an office, and I actually have her number, so I know how to reach her. But I wouldn't just pick up the phone and call her. I would call her with a plan. So those organizations who want to start doing things or want to say, hey, we want to meet to talk about what we want to do in our communities. I think you should write down your plan, the who, what, where, when, how, and then put numbers beside it, how much it's going to cost, because it's all about the money, right? It's all about the money.
Correct.
You have to know your numbers. And then maybe set up an appointment with myself or Claudia to kind of flesh things out, to go through everything, cross out everything, make sure every I is dotted and every T is crossed, then meet with them to further discuss how they can help in your communities. I love this. They're wanting to support you. And I know Pastor Paula, love her, like her, whatever, she's been it's specifically in the African American community for probably over 25 years that I know of. So, and Claudia, I know you know of things she's done. We've both been in circles with high profile people. So this is something that I think people should definitely take seriously, taking advantage of this and trying to take advantage of what is or can possibly be available for your community. Paula? I mean, I'm calling you Paula now. Claudia.
That's okay. We've got her name on our mind, so no,
Yes.
that's quite all right. No, but again, just encouraging um, places of faith, nonprofits, community-based organizations to really believe in the possibility of being able to address whatever issues are in your community. And in the process of doing that, just remember that there's a right way to do things and there's a wrong way to do things. And the next thing is that we're here to help you. We're experienced. We've applied for and received federal and local and state funding before, so we know the ropes. And we're here to help. Both of our websites are available for you to jump on a call with us and be able to connect, and we can talk further about your needs and your community.
Excellent. I'm going to just close this. I highly recommend you visit the whitehouse.gov and click on the executive orders and find the one for the faith-based office. And again, write down your policies, procedures, whatever you want to do before you
Correct.
meet with myself or anybody. There's probably people in your community, in your circle, who do what we do. We're not like the only people, and we're missing ourselves because we have to, because it's what we do. I mean, but there's probably
Correct.
people within your church or your organization that do the same thing. So just make sure you reach out to them and go get
Exactly. And you can reach me at claudiahumphrey.com, or you can go to mindingmybusinessenterprise.com and you can reach me there as well.
And you can reach me at arethasimons.com. Click on the link to make an appointment, and we can do this. Let's do it, y'all.
Let's do it.